Hello, everyone.
Hello.
I'm David Stewart, former Kootenai County Commissioner in 2015 and 2016. And running for Kootenai County Commissioner again in District 1 this time. I live in Post Falls. One thing I want to say is, what I want to start off with is, I met with Steve Matheson several weeks ago and discussed about his advisory vote for the URDs. And we had a lengthy discussion. And I know Steve's been in the paper a lot, and I've made comments about it on Facebook. I don't know if you guys follow that, but anyway, I just want to say that I support Steve 100%. I would have voted if, or when I am a commissioner, I will vote for the advisory vote, and I think it's the right thing to do. I've never been a proponent of URDs. Every time that something came in front of the board that had Ignite CDA involved with it, I always voted no. And so I have a great voting history where that goes. But I want to end with, I support your efforts, Steve. The other thing I want to talk about is the condition, I want to talk about the financial condition of the county. So a few years ago when I was a commissioner, our budget was $81 million. Today our budget is $101 million. That's a 20% increase in just a few years. Our unassigned fund balance was $37 million. Today it's $6.9 million. That's an 81% reduction of how much money we have in the bank. Now, the dirty little F word is foregone taxes. We have roughly $9.1 million available in foregone taxes. If we continue to go down the path that we are right now, I anticipate that we are going to get into foregone taxes within the next couple years, which we cannot do. I will never go to foregone taxes.
Okay.
We need to take immediate corrective action now before we go off a fiscal cliff. This is something I have talked numerous times with our county clerk, Jim Brannon, and we are, whenever I left office back in 2016, I think we're about $500,000 of where I thought we would be at this point in time. Now, I don't support foregone taxes. If the current county commissioners actually go to foregone taxes, that could be a 21% increase in our property tax. We can't support what we're doing today, much less go into foregone taxes. There needs to be corrective action. And now, Greg Delavan and I sat in a meeting one time with the county commissioners here a few weeks ago, and it would appear to us that Chris Filios supports foregone taxes, because he came to us and brought it up in a conversation and said, foregone isn't the dirty little F word that we all think it is. So many counties this last year took foregone taxes and there was no effective, nobody got angry in those counties. Well, I disagree with that. So anyway, I wanted to bring that out. The other thing I want to talk about, I want to start shifting gears. So every night whenever I go to bed, I say a prayer for President Trump. He is getting attacked day in and day out because of what he said he was going to do. Every morning when I wake up, I thank God for President Trump for what he's doing. I support Trump. I voted for him in the primary. So I want to get that out there. But one thing he said he was going to do, is he was going to drain the swamp. And draining the swamp is what he is doing. So what I want to talk about, and this is very difficult for me, but what I want to talk about, Kootenai County has a swamp as well. I think we know that. I didn't really know how big it was until I got into office, okay? But there's a couple stories that I want to tell you about that happened whenever I was in office. And I had to brief my attorney for these stories because I wanted to make sure I wasn't going to get myself in trouble. So I got to go ahead. So there was an article that came out in March 10, 2015. I'm going to go back in history a little bit because I think I need to clear some of this stuff up. I've never spoke publicly about these things, but I think it's very important that everybody in this room understands what's been going on for the last several years. And I know I'm gonna take some heat over this, but that's okay. The truth shall set you free, correct? So March 10, 2015, the Coeur d'Alene Press came out with a headline article. And it said, Chairman Stewart probes Tondy hiring. That was Todd Tondy, ex-commissioner Todd Tondy. So shortly after I got elected, several people from the county kept coming into my office, different people requesting time, to talk to me. And they were telling me about things that were going on within the county that they thought that I could help with. Things that they thought were extremely wrong and possibly corrupt. And so I listened. That's why this article came out, was because I was looking into that stuff. The problem is that, not the problem, but when the article came out that I was looking into the Tondy hiring, I really wasn't investigating Todd Tondy per se. I was investigating Dan Green. I was also investigating the firing of Greg Delavan, our airport director, and also the creation of grants management, which was all new at the same time that Mark Everline and I got elected into office. Those were the things that I was looking into. After I finished my investigation into what I was being told was corrupt, I presented this file to Barry Black, the prosecutor's office, and briefed him on everything that I found and also with the documents. His comments to me is that this is definitely inappropriate behavior by a sitting commissioner, and it could reach the point of being criminal. It has the appearance of being criminal. So he said, look, what we need to do is, it's gonna take, we are, the prosecutor's office can't investigate this because we are conflicted. The prosecutor's office represents the board as a whole. Okay, so we need to hire a third-party investigator. Commissioner Stewart, you need to stop what you're doing. We need to hire a third-party investigator. It's going to take 2 commissioners to make this happen. We need to go into executive session so we can present all of this to the other commissioner. But we need to wait until Commissioner Green goes on vacation because this is going to involve him. So I sat and waited. A couple months goes by. Commissioner Green puts on his calendar that he's going to go on vacation. So Barry Black calls me into his office whenever this hits the calendar, and he says, now is a good time to go into executive session. We need to schedule executive session. We need to get with Commissioner Everline, Mark Everline. We need to go in. I said, okay, I'll set it up. So I went into Mark Everline's office and I said, you know what I've been working on, correct? With the Tondy thing. And he says, yes. And I said, okay. Barry Blank wants to go into executive session. He wants us to discuss this. And he wants to brief you on, with him and his staff, he wants to brief you on what I found, and we need to schedule that for Monday. And so his comment to me was, cool, let's do it. So I go put it on the calendar, executive session for Monday morning. That's the day Dan Green's gonna be on vacation. So then, Monday morning I show up, Barry Black is in my office. It's off the calendar. Why is it off the calendar? I don't know why it's off the calendar. Why is it off the calendar? Nobody knew why it was off the calendar. So I met Mark Everline in the hallway. He heard this commotion going on. And he came out and he said, you don't get it your way, bud. It takes 2, bud. It takes 2 to make this happen. And I said, Mark, you know what I've been working on? We need to go into executive session like we scheduled so we can present this. So the prosecutor's office can present this. So we can, so we can have a discussion. Because it's illegal to have a discussion outside of executive session between 2 commissioners that is going to make a decision. And so his comment to me is you don't get it your way, it takes 2, and we're not gonna go into executive session. So this day, that file is probably sitting on Barry Black's office, ready to be investigated, but nothing has happened with it. And there are several people involved in this that really needs to be investigated. So that's one item. The other item that I want to talk about, and I want to clear up, is that it involves Sisters for Mark's Church, county assistance, and the indigent program. So indigents, I go into indigents just like normal. I believe it's every Tuesday, or whatever that calendar is. I go inside. Commissioner Everline is not sitting at the desk. I asked Commissioner Green, where's Mark Everland? Well, he recused himself. It's like, okay, well, that's fine. I've read the file, I briefed myself on the file. I figured he knew the folks, didn't know why we were going in or what the case was about. But then Sisters comes walking in from our church and sit down, and so we have our meeting. Now, this case is protected by HIPAA, but I'm not listing names here, so we're okay, but I think these are things that you need to know. In the middle of this meeting, what happened is that these sisters signed up for indigents to get health care and signed the documents to get the health care, to get the county assistance. But then when it came time to pay the bill, they came in and said, well, we're sisters, we don't work. We should get the free health care. The clerk's office, Jim Brannon over there, did the right thing. He did the honorable thing. He could have easily said, this is fine, we're gonna put it under the rug, and nobody, he could have accepted this and nobody would have ever known, because it's all protected by HIPAA. He stood up, did the honorable thing, and said, no, not in my office, we're not gonna do this. This isn't right. If this is going to have to go in front of the county commissioners. They're the only ones that can sign off on this. So that's why it came in front of the commissioners, to make a decision. Now, in the middle of this meeting, I'm having a conversation, and I said, why would we provide you with free health care? That's not something that we do here. And so after a lengthy conversation, Commissioner Green looked at me and he said, look, the only other alternative is to turn them over for collection. And I'm never going to vote to turn them over for collection. Would you, Mr. Stewart, or would you, Commissioner Stewart, agree to a lesser fee? And I said, this isn't right. This isn't the way we operate. You people and the county taxpayers is not to provide free health care for any given group or individual. That's not what we're here for. So after a lengthy conversation with Commissioner Green, I did agree to lessen the amount. And I made a motion to lessen the amount, and I also gave him 30 days to pay the bill, to help them out. He seconded the motion, and then he came forward and he said, I've done well in my life. You don't have to worry about this bill. I'm gonna pay this bill. And he went down to his car, got his checkbook, and wrote a check and paid her bill. Shortly thereafter, or a few months later, another sister came in front of the clerk's office for a hip replacement, $200-some thousand. We're going through this again. I go into Mark's office and I said, this is gonna end, this needs to stop. I am never going to approve this, and if this comes before the board, I will go public. I don't care what the cost is. This is not right for the people. In the middle of this conversation with the original sisters, I asked her, who is coaching you? Who is coaching you and telling you to come forward with this? How do you know about this process? How do you know? And she mentioned Mark Everland's name. So I left the first meeting. Whenever I left, I got the backstory of it. Members of the clerk's office came to me afterward and said, so this is what happened. They came in, they signed the paperwork, they went and they got the medical care. They came back and they said, we're not gonna pay. We can't pay. They told them that we're not gonna let them, or the staff told them that this has to go in front of the commissioners. They immediately went up to Mark Everlane's office. Mark Everlane came downstairs. All of this can be verified if you talk to his staff.
Mr. Stewart, you are 12 minutes into 5 minutes.
I'm gonna finish up right. Yeah. So they felt, what they told me in the backstory was that they felt heavily pressured by all of this, by Commissioner Everline to write it off. And they stood their ground and said, no, we're going to put this in front of the commissioners. So I think these things are good to know, because I have taken a lot of political hits from the background. I have taken a lot of political hits because of this activity going on in the background. I know that Jim Brannon has as well, and I think it's good that this comes out now. I have always done what I thought was right for the taxpayers of this county. I intend to win this election, and when I do, I will continue to do what is best for Kootenai County. I'll listen to your questions.
Mr. Stewart, are you running against Mark Everline?
I am not. No, Mark is running for legislature, and I'm running for county commission.
Rose?
Dave,
Unless you call me Dave, nobody will.
Mr. Ferguson,
I can't. Sorry.
I'm sorry, Ms. Rose, you have the floor.
Dave, like you, I don't like paying taxes and I don't like seeing tax increases. And you said that the taxes have gone up 20% since you left office? 20?
No, well, so the budget was 81 million when I was there.
Yeah, the budget,
And
sorry,
now,
you're right.
and now the budget is 101 million.
Yes, okay. So, our population in this county has gone up about 20% in the last 10 years. And, I think we all know that residential, growth doesn't pay for itself. So for every dollar that's collected in taxes through residential growth, it costs at least 2.1 to 2.9, in infrastructure costs. So how would you deal with that discrepancy then without raising taxes?
Well, it's a little, I don't agree with everything you just said, okay? Because whenever you develop property, it generates more tax dollars. I'm a real estate developer. I'm a custom home builder, and I have been for over 30 years. So whenever I go in and do a development, I've gotta pay for all the infrastructure out of pocket. Taxpayers doesn't pay for that. Developers pay for that. Developers pay for the street improvements, the highway improvements. And then the property that was sitting on fair land doesn't generate as much taxes as a developed property. And so I don't totally agree with services cost more whenever developments go on, because more tax dollars are generated from development. As an example, Lakes Highway District. Lakes Highway District is the wealthiest highway district out of all four. The reason for that is because of development. East Side is the poorest. East Side is the one that struggles the most.
So when I say that,
I'm gonna have to call it there. We're 17 minutes into this, so. One last question, short question, anyone? Mr. Barron?
I'll make it short, I'll make it short. So I just wanted to confirm that there's a lot of stuff that you went over that we need to research and figure out. But effectively, you, if I understand correctly, a bunch of anonymous people put out a lot of mud about you when you were opposing Mark Everline while he was county commissioner. Is that correct?
I never opposed Mark Everline in a campaign.
Okay. But you got a lot of mud put out against you?
Absolutely, and it was after I fought and did not approve the free healthcare for the sisters in his church. That's when it all started.
All right, thank you.
All right, thank you very much.